Good evening. One of the annoying things about the whole situation in Palestine is how commentators are weighing in and trying to argue to the effect that none of the countries nearby are doing anything. Now, if they modified that and were a bit more nuanced and suggested that perhaps Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE could do more or were a bit reticent at first at coming forward, and that there are historical reasons for that due to issues about Palestinians undermining authority, especially in Jordan, that would be fair. But they've decided in some cases, as commentators suggest, that none of these countries are doing anything, which is not true. And to prove my point, since if I make that point, I should therefore be called upon to make it, which is fair enough, I've assembled quite a bit of evidence here. And we'll start with the UAE here, the United Arab Emirates. These may take a bit of time sharp because I've got so many links open, but here we go. This is from the 15th of May 2025. UAE urgently evacuates 188 patients and family members from Gaza. Following the directives of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, UAE President, may God protect him, to provide treatment and healthcare to 1,000 wounded Palestinian children or 1,000 cancer patients from the Gaza Strip in UAE hospitals, the UAE, in cooperation with the World Health Organization, WHO, has conducted its latest evacuation flight from Amman Airport in Israel. Bir Karam Abu Salam crossing, carrying 101 injured people and accompanied by 87 family members. So far, 2,630 patients and family members have arrived in the UAE, which reflects the country's commitment to providing the necessary medical treatment for Palestinians in UAE hospitals. Now, of course, it's a drop in the ocean, but it does exist. And the argument being presented by certain presenters that none of these countries are doing anything suggests to be more that they aren't looking or they're not doing any basic research. And they're presenting simplified reductionist takes to engage in a bit of rage baiting and to suggest that we're all going to suddenly be flooded with a gazillion Palestinian refugees in Britain, which I don't really think is going to be the case. You then have, as I go across, this is from Gracia, where Sheikh Moza and Queen Rania, who will be coming back to Queen Rania of Jordan as well, shared heartfelt public messages in the wake of Pope Francis' death. Now, of course, Pope Francis has been dead for some months now, and it's not really so much that I'm interested in, but what I am interested in is the Qatari royal also looked back at the Pope's final plea for Gaza. Pope Francis will be remembered for his honourable stance in his final plea for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. While Queen Rania, who expressed as far as an ex, previously Twitter, in a world that can often feel heartless, Pope Francis also always had love to spare. She recognized his concert effort for the people of Palestine. She wrote, Pope Francis always had love to spare for the less fortunate. And Queen Rania is someone we will come back to because she has quite a few connections to the late Pope. And next, you can see there's quite a few of these links. Key Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt reopening for medical evacuations. This was earlier in the year, 31st of January 2025, where it was open for 50 wounded civilians. A small number of people, but it's not nothing, which is a claim of some commentators, which shows you shouldn't trust anyone on the internet unless you do your own research, and that includes yours truly. Palestinian patients enter Egypt as Rafah crossing opens after 9 months. That's from the 1st of February 2025, showing, again, patients entering. And then you have Jordan, where Queen Rania is from. Let's see if this is going to open for us. Jordan welcomes Gaza patients in a humanitarian medical journey. Last updated July the 29th, 2025. So that's less than a week old, really. Amid the health challenges facing the Gaza Strip, Jordan has extended support and assistance to Palestinian patients. Since the start of the Israeli aggression on Gaza on October the 7th, 2023, the King Hussein Cancer Foundation and Centre KHCC has received 142 cancer patients from Gaza, along with 250 accompanying family members. This effort comes in line with His Majesty King Abdullah II's announcement that Jordan will receive 2,000 children from Gaza to complete their treatment at Jordan's expense. So this claim that none of these countries are doing anything is fundamentally, well, it's incorrect. If I was being less charitable, I might call it a lie. I will, however, in this case, attribute it to willful ignorance and lack of research. And here we have the World Summit on Children's Rights with Queen Rania sitting next to the late Pope Francis. And they collaborated quite a bit on children's rights over the years because it's a passion of Queen Rania's. And that channel is available to watch. And you have Queen Rania herself hitting out at Western double standards over the war in Gaza. For decades, beginning before last October, Palestinians have been subjected to a crushing criminal occupation, she said. Jordan's Queen Rania on Saturday criticised what she described as Western double standards. This was published late last year, September the 8th, 2024. Which she said are contributing to a loss of faith in the rules and moral standards meant to govern our world. Speaking at the 50th European House Ambrosetti Forum, an annual economic conference in Cernobbio, Italy, the Queen said in the aftermath of global wars and other bloody conflicts in Europe, during the 20th century, the international community established several global institutions to prevent similar violence. I think this should be enough evidence to show that you might argue that Jordan or UAE or Egypt aren't perhaps providing the biggest response they could, or it's not perfect. But to say it's no one is doing anything, well, this shows what happens when you don't do basic research or when you just trust pundits who wish to present simplified versions of reality. And for me, it seems rather suspicious that these positions are being presented in light of this news today. Netanyahu to propose full reoccupation of Gaza, Israeli media report, which was also picked up by the Irish News and no doubt by 100 other news agencies. But those are the two news agencies I watch the most. So I noticed it there first. And it seemed odd that a flurry of comments and various channels talking about how none of these countries surrounding Palestine had done anything suddenly arrived and suddenly sprung up amid the desert as though a load of flowers had suddenly sprouted with a fragrance designed to entrance and enthrall you. But I'll leave it there. It just shows that if you want to understand what's going on about such news articles, it's wisest not to trust people giving you very simplistic statements.